Good morning. Could you please state your first and last name for the record and spell both?
Mary Sesto, Marysesto.
Ms. Sesto, how are you employed?
I work at the University of Wisconsin in the Department of Medicine.
And did you know two individuals by the name of Bart and Krista Halderson?
Yes.
How did you know them?
We've been friends since Mitchell was a baby, so 25 years.
During that 25 years, did you ever know Bart and Krista to go gambling?
No.
Tell me about their alcohol usage.
When we were with them, we would have wine with dinner, beer, but they weren't heavy drinkers.
Did you ever know them to drink tequila or gin?
No.
So you knew Bart fairly well. Was Bart one to have large amounts of cash lying about?
No.
You kind of smiled. Can you explain that?
So Bart's a CPA. He was our accountant. I'm stereotyping CPAs, but he was very conservative with his money. Undoubtedly, he bought good quality things for around the house, but it wasn't like he went out to eat at expensive restaurants or bought really expensive bottles of wine. He was conservative with his money.
All right. He's mindful. And you're married, correct?
Yes.
And was your husband also friends with the Haldersons?
Yes.
And in fact, did you guys do things together as families or couples?
Yes, we did.
What sort of things did you guys do?
Oh, watched, Badger Packer football games. We would go to the terrace. We've gone to their cabin. My husband would help Bart close his cabin pretty much every year, except for during COVID. I guess just general, during COVID, we would hang out at bonfires, so.
Okay. I want to talk to you a little bit about the cabin. How many times do you think you'd been to the cabin?
I think I've been there 2, possibly 3 times. I don't.
And did you, and was it usually with your husband as well?
Yes, yep, the 4 of us.
Did you both ride in the same car with Krista or something, and Bart or something else?
No, we would take our own vehicles.
Can you explain that a little?
Sure. When we went up to the cabin with them for the weekend, backing up, Bart didn't leave a lot of equipment at the cabin. So what he had at the house, so if we were going to be using a chainsaw or cleaning up stuff, he would have to take the stuff with him in the car, plus food. Really not a lot was left at the cabin, all their clothes. So there's no way the 4 of us would have fit in their Subaru or my car, or my husband's car, with all our stuff. So we always took separate cars when we went up there as couples.
Was Bart pretty tight in his packing?
He packed well, is that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yes.
Did Krista have any habits of communicating to you or to anybody else, to your knowledge, when they were going to the cabin? Yeah, so
I know they had gone to the cabin earlier in June, and we knew about that. I had texted her to have fun at the cabin, or I hope they had a nice time. But typically we would know when they were going to be gone. Not always, but typically, yes.
Okay. Were they more planned sort of individuals, or were they more kind of fly by the seat of your pants sort of individuals?
Oh, planning.
Okay. Would you have considered them cautious in the sense of making sure somebody would know where they were going if they were planning to be up at the cabin out in the middle of the woods?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know Bart and Krista a little bit as parents?
Yeah, yes.
If Krista was going to be going away and leaving Chandler for a period of time, do you know if she did anything in preparation for that?
Objection. Speculation, foundation.
Perhaps lay more foundation.
Okay.
I'll sustain, but you can explore.
Were you aware of some of Krista's practices as a parent?
Yes.
Did she do anything specific if she was going to be away regarding food for Chandler?
She would prepare food, to my knowledge, for Chandler, for the boys, if they were going to be gone.
Do you have any specific knowledge as to their practice concerning the dogs in the cabin?
So the cabin's very dog-friendly, so they, to my knowledge, they typically took the dogs with them. When we went with them, they would bring their dogs as well. The last time we were there, it was just one dog, but they would bring the dog with them, so.
Okay, so the jury got to see a video, kind of a long video yesterday of the cabin, and it looks like there's a lot of property. Okay, so places a dog could run and
Swim, and yes.
okay. How often do you know anything about Krista's habits about keeping in touch with her children?
Yes.
What do you know?
So when we have been out with them, Krista typically texted. I don't know if it was Mitchell once he had moved out and away from college, but I know when Chandler was living with them that she would text them. She wasn't always in contact with her boys. We would arrive at the cabin, and even though we drove in certain cars, she would be texting them when she got there. Krista was a very doting parent. I just don't know of a time when she was with us that she was ever out of contact with the boys.
And being up in the cabin, did you generally have cell reception?
Yes.
Is that okay? Yes. How did you learn that Bart and Krista were missing?
So a police officer called me on Wednesday in the afternoon to say that Chaz had reported them missing. And if I recall, there were several conversations that day, but if I recall correctly, asking about if I knew about the cabin. I remember saying that my husband knew how to get there, so if they needed him to give him the directions, but it was through the police officer. And then go ahead.
No, you're fine. What, if anything, did you do once you learned that they were missing?
Yeah, I texted Chaz and I emailed Mitchell.
Okay.
To offer support, see what I could do. Offered to bring Chaz food because, again, knowing Krista, that she would have left him a set amount of food. At least that's been my experience. We offered to bring him food down to the house.
Okay. And did he take you up on that offer?
He elected to come up to our house.
Okay. And where do you live in connection to the 4595 Oak Springs Circle address?
So just up the hill from them. So
you guys are neighbors?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you remember, was it July 7th that Chandler came over for dinner?
Is that Wednesday, July 7th?
Yes.
Yes.
Tell me about that night. Do you remember about what time Chandler arrived?
It was probably somewhere around 7:45 to 8 p.m., if I remember correctly.
Okay. And how did the evening begin?
We expressed how sorry we were, how worried we were, what could we do to help. We did talk about police going to the cabin. Do you want me to state what Chandler said at this point, or how? Sorry.
No, you're fine. Was your husband, you said we, was the we your husband?
My husband was there.
Okay.
For most of it.
Was he there for the entire evening?
No, he ran to grab pizza.
Okay.
But it was...
And was that pretty early on?
Probably 20 to 30 minutes, I'm guessing, after Chandler got there, because we waited to order the pizza until he was at our house.
What did you and Chandler do while your husband was out getting the pizza?
We talked. By that point, there were things that were said that just didn't align with the couple that I knew. So I went out into the kitchen to just put some distance because I was just a bit uncomfortable.
Okay. Let's back up a little bit. You said that you started to feel uncomfortable and some things were said that didn't line up. What was said?
So Chandler was actually trying to be very assuring that that they had taken a large roll of cash. They wanted to blow off some steam. They were going to go gamble. That they had taken a tote of booze with gin and tequila in it, which were not, as I mentioned, alcohols. I was aware of them drinking. And that they drove with another couple. So those things just...
One and one were not equally
No,
two.
it wasn't the people I knew.
Okay. So you said you went to the kitchen. Why did you go to the kitchen?
Because he was just the things he was saying. He was just very, what I perceived as, just emotionally flat. I don't know. I was uncomfortable. So when my husband left, I stepped into the kitchen.
So some people are kind of emotionally
Right.
flat, and that's just kind of how they present. Was that Chandler most of the time?
Not to that extent. So like that evening when he was at our house and he talked about the dogs and how he was frustrated that he expressed concern that the dogs had been locked out in the garage during the whole time that the detectives or police were there, and he got emotional that they didn't deserve that. They shouldn't be out there. So it was more so than when he spoke about his parents, that I more emotionally flat. And
So he got more emotional over the dogs than his mom and dad being missing.
yes, yes, when he talked about the dogs, there was more emotion.
Why do you move into the kitchen?
I just felt uncomfortable. I wanted me to be between the door and him. And again, he did not do anything that was physically concerning. I just was uncomfortable because what he was saying, it was not making sense to me.
Okay, so you put yourself between him and the door.
Correct.
And when you say door, I am
Front door.
assume the front door, the door to go outside.
Yep.
Okay. What sort of things do you and Chandler discuss once you're in the kitchen?
I don't recall that we had a lot of discussions specific when we were in the kitchen. We kept it light. It was, I really don't recall anything that occurred there. When my husband came back, and again, I don't remember if it was before he left or when he came back, we talked about, he said that Krista had texted him on Sunday. And again, I'm sorry, I just don't remember, did that occur before my husband left for
No,
pizza?
that's okay.
Or when he came back. But that's not, I couldn't believe that if they had left on Friday. I've never, ever known her in 25 years, once the boys were old enough, that she was out of contact from them for that length of time.
Did you and Chandler have any discussions about phones?
Oh, yes. So I was trying to be reassuring that, don't worry, because in my brain at that point, I'm thinking they're in a car wreck on the side of the road. Something like that happened. And so I said that, don't worry, they can track their phones. They can look at where the location of the phone is, and hopefully that will find them. And his comment was, no, they can't do that.
Okay, and how did he say that?
Just very flat, they can't do that.
Okay. Did you talk at all about Chandler's medical concerns at that time?
Yes, so he had mentioned that because of his concussion, it wasn't clear if he had the CAT scan or was scheduled for the CAT scan, but that there was going to be a large deductible with that. And then I made the comment, and I don't know if this will make sense, but I made the comment, well, you'll be getting that large paycheck from American Family, so not exactly what you wanted to go to, but at least you have those resources. And so we had been told that Chandler had roughly a 6-month position with American Family that progressed from an internship to a paid position, but that he hadn't been getting paid and that he was going to be getting this large check. And then he made the comment that something along the lines, that didn't work out or that's not going to happen. And I was really uncomfortable with things that were being said prior to that. But that was, I remember like thinking, I just need him to leave now because nothing, I don't believe anything he said. So.
At any point that evening, were you able to observe Chandler's feet?
Oh, yes.
Specifically, his big toe.
His big toe. He had asked, and this is towards the end of the evening when he was there, that he had there was a cut on his toe from some broken glass from the fireplace. He said that the dogs, they were playing ball downstairs and the dog ran in and broke the fireplace glass. And so he wanted me to look at his toe. So he took off his shoe and sock and sort of bent over and was showing me the bottom of his foot, the bottom of his toe. So, I mean, there was a small cut there.
How big would you say that cut was?
I don't know, small was more than just a puncture, but probably like less than 1/8 of an inch, little round area. It wasn't, yes.
All right. And you had talked to him about the CAT scan, and you said you work at the medical school. What's your job?
So I'm a researcher. So I'm also, my background, I'm a physical therapist, but I haven't practiced clinically for a couple decades, so.
How was Chandler's movement
Fine.
during the evening at your house?
Fine. I noticed no,
Objection.
oh,
Can we approach?
Okay.
Ms. Sesto, I'm going to rephrase the question slightly. Could you describe how Chandler moved the evening he was at your house on July 7th of 2021?
so I did not, so as an example, when he asked me to look at his foot, he was seated in a chair. He bent fully forward, pulled his foot up, turned his head so we could both look at the bottom of his foot. I didn't see any restrictions in his motion during that, which it's full spine motion for him to do. I do not recall any restrictions in his movement or at any other time in the evening.
Okay. No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Ms. Sesto.
Good morning.
So I'm going to sit here just for the mic situation. Can you hear me just fine?
Oh, I'm fine, yes.
Perfect, thank you. A couple questions for you. How long would you say that you've known Bart and Krista Halderson?
I think 25 years. I believe it was when Mitch, I think it was after Mitch was born that we met him through another neighbor.
Okay. And in that time, I'm going to assume that you had a lot of one-on-one time with Krista.
Yes, I mean, yes, Krista and Bart. I mean, we did a lot with them as a couple.
So as a couple, you hung out a lot.
Yes.
You went to dinner. And how often would you say that you had one-on-one time with Chandler?
Just one-on-one? Let me think about that. I know, like, when we would stop over at their home, Krista would want, during COVID, Chandler to come out, say hi, catch us up on what was new in his life. But I think they were typically always, Bart and Krista were always there. Sorry, I'm just going back before COVID.
Oh.
Yeah, I think as we hung out, like we were together over Thanksgiving. I would chat with Chaz then, but there were other people in the room. So yeah, I can't think of a time where it was just me and him in a room.
So this was probably the first time that you did have that kind of interaction with Chandler.
Yes.
And would you say the same thing about interactions with Mitchell?
So yes, I mean.
So you never really had one-on-one interaction?
Oh, that's what, I'm sorry. Yes, that's correct.
No, that was my fault. And as far as the small cut on the toe, did you notice anything unusual about it? The way that you described it was just a small cut.
I mean, yeah, look, yes. I mean, it wasn't, I was looking for, Chaz was concerned about signs of infection, anything like that. So I was looking for redness, oozing. It was, I said if it continued to be problematic, you could go and get it checked out. But I didn't notice anything other than he had a bigger than a puncture wound on the bottom of his toe.
Okay. And I'm going to assume you didn't notice any other types of cuts or anything that would have been concerning to you.
No, I didn't I just looked at the bottom of his foot.
Okay. You also testified about Chandler working at American Family Insurance.
Yes.
That information was provided to you by Krista, correct?
No, I think the first time I heard of the company was when Bart, Krista, Chaz, and my husband and I were standing outside, and they had talked about he had done an internship and had gotten a paid position, but they were trying to get the payment set up, and someone asked who was the company, and so that's when it was said American Family. So I think that's the first time I heard it. It was all of us together, and I don't remember who actually said it was American Family.
Okay. And was that the first time that you heard of this job?
Yes. I had heard that he had been doing some internship, but
Oh, no.
that it had been sort of progressed to a paid position.
And then the last time, if you will, that you heard about this job was when you and Chandler were in your home in the kitchen.
The next time I heard about it, yes.
All right. No further questions for you. Thank you.
Can you redirect?
Yes. You said that there were times that Krista would have Chandler come outside and catch you up during COVID. Mm-hmm. What sort of things did Chandler catch you up on?
Just it was mainly that night when they talked about the job. I know there was a time when he had moved back in that we chatted. It wasn't a lot of, I guess, catching up.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
May this witness be released and excused.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good remainder of your day. And the next witness, please.
Good morning. Could you please state your name for the record and spell both your first and last names?
Yes, my name is Kevin Linsmeier. First name is spelled Kevin. Last name is spelled Linsmeier.
And Mr. Linsmeier, how have you been employed in the past?
I was employed by the Madison Police Department,
As what?
police officer and a detective
And how long were you a police officer and detective?
for 31 years.
And do you remember roughly when you retired?
On May 3rd, 2021.
And where do you live?
I live at 105 Oak Springs Circle in DeForest, Wisconsin.
And where is 105 Oak Springs Circle in relation to the Halderson home?
It's across the street from my house, kitty corner a little bit. So, I mean, the lots do not line up perfect, but they're staggered just a little bit, but we are across the street from the Halderson residence.
And did you know Krista and Bart Halderson?
I did.
How did you know them?
So let's talk about Bart first. I've known Bart since childhood. He's from my hometown. He went to the same high school as I. We grew up 5 minutes apart or so. And then I met Bart again about 5 years ago when he moved across the street from me. And then Krista, I met through Bart. Krista was Bart's wife, and that's when I met her.
Okay. And would you just characterize your relationship with them as neighbors, or were you kind of friendly, or something else?
We're neighbors. We went out to eat with them once, 3 years ago probably or so. I mean, we visited outside as neighbors would do. So I would say we're very neighborly.
Okay. And in the first week of July of 2021, what, if any, observations did you make about the Halderson home or lawn?
So the first week of July, I recall talking to my wife about that the Halderson lawn wasn't kept up, which was very unusual. They did a really nice job maintaining their lawn, very good gardeners, and it was obvious that the lawn wasn't being cared for. So that was the first observation that we made.
Gardening was kind of a hobby for Bart, or at least you thought it was?
They were out regularly working on their lawn, planting, maintaining their plants. That was one of their hobbies. You could clearly tell they enjoyed being outside and working on their lawn.
And I heard that's a little bit competitive on your street, that everybody
is.
takes a lot of pride in their landscaping and lawn.
Yes.
As of July 7th or so of 2021, had you ever met anybody named Chandler Halderson?
I did.
Okay. And when did you meet him?
Shortly after Bart and Krista moved into the house, I know for sure I met Chandler and his brother and Bart and Krista then. I remember that distinctly, and I'm pretty sure there was at least one more time in subsequent years that I have met Chandler.
Generally speaking, though, did you socialize with Chandler?
No.
Okay. Did Chandler come to your home on July 8th of 2021?
Yes.
Do you have any security cameras of any sort at your house?
I have a Ring video on the front door of my entrance of house.
So, do you remember what time did Chandler come to your home on the 8th?
It was approximately 8:30 a.m.
Okay. And what happened?
So the doorbell rang. I answered the door. I said to Chandler through the door, "I'll meet you in the garage."
Why'd you do that?
At the time, I had a very young puppy that needed to be crated, and I, didn't want to try to control the puppy and talk to Chandler at the same time. So that was the reason on why I wanted to talk with him in the garage.
Did you do anything as you prepared to go into the garage to meet Chandler?
Yes, after I created the puppy, I decided that I was going to record the contact I was going to have with Chandler. So I had my phone, I activated the recorder.
Why'd you do that?
Well, being a police officer, for many years I suspected something wasn't right based on my observations from the day before, where I saw 3 squad cars outside the Holderson house for an extended period of time. That's not something we normally see in the neighborhood, let alone for a missing person type case. Usually the officers aren't at the scene for an extended period of time. So I suspected something wasn't right, I just didn't know what.
Okay. So you recorded the interaction.
I did.
And that, just to be clear, that's just an audio only recording.
That is correct.
Okay. Mr. Linsmeier, I am going to show you what has been marked as exhibits 45 and 46. What is exhibit 45?
So exhibit 45 consists of a flash drive.
And during the course of this investigation, did you provide law enforcement with your Ring video footage of Chandler?
I did.
Okay. And you provided a true and accurate copy?
I did.
At this point, I would move exhibit 45 into evidence.
Any objection?
Your Honor, may we approach, please?
Sure. And so the Exhibit 45 is received.
And Exhibit 46. Could you examine Exhibit 46?
Exhibit 46 is also a flash drive. It's green in color.
And during the course of this investigation, did you provide law enforcement a true and accurate copy of the audio you recorded in the garage between you and Chandler Halderson?
Yes.
I would move Exhibit 46 into evidence at this time.
Any objection other than any noted previously?
None.
It is received.
I'm also going to provide 47 and 48 for the court record benefit.
Thank you.
Okay. So the Ring doorbell interaction occurred first?
Yes.
Okay. So we are going to publish Exhibit 45 at this time. Yes. And so that's the Ring doorbell footage.
That is correct.
Okay. And the date on that Ring doorbell footage was July 8th, and the time appeared to be 8:37 a.m. Is that all correct?
That should be accurate, yes.
Yes. Okay. And this audio footage that we're about to hear in Exhibit 46, I assume that occurred pretty much seconds after that Ring doorbell?
Yes. I don't know if we've ever met. Well, actually, we did meet. I think we met once or twice when we first moved over there. I think we met. Sorry about what's going on.
What it is, but I was wondering if your door camera
You do have a ring, yeah.
does it pick up the road?
Yes, some it does.
Would you have any notifications from Friday morning early before 6:15?
We can check. That's not a problem. Is that before
That'd be great.
6:15?
Yeah, before 6:15, kind of since Thursday midnight.
Okay.
Any notifications? would
Okay.
be helpful.
My wife is the one that knows how to run that, so I'll have her pull it up on the computer. So Thursday night to Friday morning.
Yep.
Okay. You doing okay over there? Anything I can do to help you out? Do you need help watching the dogs or anything?
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to leave my dogs with people.
I'm sorry, what was that?
My youngest dog was at a bad home before, so she's got to be either with me, my parents, or like there's my great aunt and uncle. The only people that she's okay being near.
Okay, well, if there's anything I can do to make life easier, I mean,
Appreciate it.
I'm retired now, so I'm around, my wife's around a lot, she still works, but especially if it's like watching the dogs or anything, if there's anything I can do to make your life easier, I'll give you my phone number, and you can call me.
Great.
Okay, ready? My name's Kevin. And my phone number is 608-220-1203. And actually, let me get your number too if I need to call you.
Maybe just give you a text.
That's my cell phone, yeah, so you can text it too. Oh, you can just text it to me. Okay, thank you. Yeah, if there's anything, I mean, especially for my wife and I, as you probably saw, we have a puppy. We just got a puppy. We've always had dogs. Now we have a
Yeah, it's so
13-week-old.
cute seeing it.
A little work of art. But if there's anything I can do, I'm from, you know, where your dad is from the Valders area. I grew up in that area.
Oh, okay.
He's 3 years younger than me, but we went to the same high school.
So you were with my Uncle Brett?
Brett is 1 or 2 years older than me.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't think I've ever talked to him. I know he used to be cross country, was he?
Yeah.
Was he a big runner back I think in high school he was a runner, I think. And I don't know if I've ever talked to him. I know what he looks like, but he's 1 or 2 years older than me. But how's, you know, your family? How's your dad's family or Krista's family doing?
I haven't heard anything from my mom's family. They're kind of spread across the map. So
Do they know what's going on though?
No, I haven't talked to them before.
Okay.
I wouldn't know how to contact them either.
Okay.
My brother might know how to contact her brother. So I think
Does
he's met
Brett
her.
know?
Yeah,
Brett knows
yeah. I'm
him.
hoping Brett can come because he'll be able to look through more things than the police are.
Yeah. Well, when Brett comes up here, if he comes up here, have him come over here. I mean, if there's anything I can do to help out with anything. I mean, I was a detective for 23 years with Madison Police Department, so I work, you know, that's kind of stuff. I know Brett was a manager. He was a boss, but he should have a lot of experience. But, you know, and if you have Brett's phone number, I can easily call him up. If you want to give me Brett's phone number, I'll give him a phone call and just, you know, tell him. And actually, I think you text that to me also.
Yeah, I think it's contact.
Yeah, send it to me. I've always wanted to meet him because I know he was a police officer for many years. And I don't even know if he knows who I am, but when I met, you know, your dad and Krista, he told me that Brett was a cop, and like I knew that. I just didn't. He was in the military or something too. I remember.
Yeah, he was in the Army.
Yeah, I remember that also. But I'll have Lisa check the ring. I know the cops one of them came over and talked over here a little bit yesterday and asked if we saw anything, and it's like, no, not much. So.
It's too early. I haven't seen anyone up around that time anyways.
Do you, I read in the news release where the cabin is. What's
Sawyer Lake?
Sawyer Lake. Is that a cabin? Cabin. And they checked the cabin already up there?
I haven't heard what
I would
they
hope,
found.
I would hope they have the
Yeah.
cops up there knocking on the door, checking in.
One of the 3 cops for the entire,
No, that's a lot. I don't even know where Sawyer County is actually.
it's not Sawyer County, it's just Sawyer Lake.
Sawyer Lake, okay, I've heard. Okay.
County.
Langley, is that what it is?
Oh, yeah,
That's what I heard of Langley, never went to get past Green Bay, I don't know much, so. But I'll have Lisa check, I'll text you once she checks the ring, so Thursday night into Friday morning.
Yeah.
Okay. And you keep me in mind if there's anything, I'm telling you, if there's anything we can do to make your life easier, you need to reach out to us, okay?
I appreciate it.
Okay, what's your name again?
Chandler?
Chandler. Okay, and do you have one brother?
Yeah.
I was going to say, when your parents moved in there, I remember meeting 2 boys. Okay, what's your brother's name?
Mitchell?
Okay, yeah. I don't know if I've met either of you since.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
can't even remember moving all the boxes in here. Yeah, actually,
How long have you been over there for?
5 years since I graduated high school and we moved just the summer after.
So what's weird is and I didn't know this until after you moved over here, but you used to live up off of West Mohawk Trail.
Yeah.
We did too, and I had no idea. I mean, and then we lived at 933 West Mohawk Trail, and then we moved to Mohican Pass up on top of the hill.
Oh, that's where my best friend used to live.
What was his name?
Nate
Hoffman?
Hoffman.
Yeah,
Nate Hoffman.
right across the street from the Hoffmans.
cool.
Where did they move to? Okay.
I lost touch when I moved to Plymouth.
So, and that's what your parents told me, that you moved away from that area and then moved to Plymouth, and then moved back here then, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we lived, I don't know where your house was off of Mohawk, but we lived close, and I had no idea, that, I remember your dad as a Cub Scout. I don't think I ever talked to him because he was younger than me, but I remember your dad and your uncle as Cub Scouts, yeah, and that's all I remember. I don't remember him much else. I know I never talked to your dad in high school. He was 3 years younger, but and your brother was older, so I don't think I ever talked to him. But it's just how weird, what a small world. And then your mom went to school with my wife at La Follette. It's like what a small world that is. So
It's crazy.
Okay. Call me if you need anything. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Okay.
If you could think of anything, give me a ring, or if you find
Just being just from my law enforcement background, the best thing you can be doing is being in constant contact with the detective that's assigned to the case. If I was you, I would be lighting his phone up. What's going on? Where are things at? Just being in constant contact. They're gonna. If they're doing their job the way I would be doing it, they already reached out wherever the Sawyer Lake is. They would have had the cops check in the area. You gave them the address where the cabin was? Okay. I can assure you that they're doing what they can on their end, but I would be calling that cop up, 2-3 times a day, saying, hey, what's going on? Or encouraging the cop to call you 2-3 times a day until this is figured out. And I didn't know your parents real well. I talked to him. I knew your dad a little bit. I would say hi to him and we'd wave, but it's not like we were real close. We just weren't, so. But that's about all you can really do. And I'm not a big social media person at all. Don't know much about it. But were your parents big in social media?
Oh,
Okay.
it's not helping finding him.
Okay. When was your, and your parents' workplaces have been contacted already?
Yep.
Okay.
I tried to contact my dad's, but his place is so locked down, it's hard to even talk to a real person.
No, and and the officers know where your parents work?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're doing trust me, they're doing what their jobs are, so that should all be covered. And then I would, just stay in contact with the cops. They're going to probably ask for more information. If they have questions from you, answer the questions. Be in whatever you can do of assistance. Is your other brother, is it your older brother? Has he been, the officers talked to him?
Yeah, they went to his house.
Okay, that's good. That's really good. Does Krista have any relatives around here? No.
Just my dad. And I've contacted his side, aunt and uncle, his brother, his nieces.
Okay, good.
Can't. Oh,
Okay.
my grandparents. I'm pretty sure they're in the loop now too, but they haven't heard anything.
Sure.
So
Okay. Just work with the detective as much as possible. Do you know who the detective is that's assigned?
it's on a card in my dining room.
Once you call them, ask them, are you the detective assigned, or do you mind if I continue calling you for updates? Because what's going to happen is yesterday I saw 3 squads here.
Yeah.
Okay, so not all 3 people are going to be assigned the case. One person gets assigned the case. because the other two, most of the time, they're patrol officers or detectives, they have other cases they have to work on, but one person will be assigned the case. Find out who that one person is, and that's who you're going to call. That's who you're going to communicate with. You don't want to communicate with 3 different people because you're going to get the runaround because you know how those 3 people don't communicate with each other because they're all doing their own thing. You need that one person that's ahead of the case. So that's who you want to stay in contact with. But there's all you can do is wait, pray, hope for the best. Has this ever happened before? Anything like
Not
this?
like this long of not hearing from them. That's why I went to the police. So.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did. I'm really glad you did.
So, yeah.
I'm really glad you did. Did the police ask you, do they have passports? Did they ever travel
I
out
don't
of the
know if
country?
they have passports with them. I can't get in our safe. I don't have the codes for safes.
Okay.
And that's where we keep them is
Okay.
safe.
That's the stuff that they're going to check. And the cops have a way of checking to see if they got on airplanes. There's a way of them doing that. So there's things they can be doing on their end that I'm sure they are because that's what they do. So okay. Keep me in mind though, if there's anything I can be doing to help all, especially with the dogs, just keep me in mind with that. We have no plans with this puppy. We have no plans till later this year, so we're not going anywhere with the puppy yet. Okay?
I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank
I'll
you.
drop you a text once my wife looks at the rain, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Good luck.
Mr. Linsmeier, is the person that you talked to in your garage, Chandler Halderson, in the courtroom today?
I'm sorry.
point-
Could you repeat that?
The question asked if you would be able to recognize the person you talked to. Before following up with that, I would ask everyone not in the jury box to lower their masks for a brief count of 3 so that the witness can observe everyone's faces. Thank you. Please replace your masks. Go right ahead, Attorney Raymond.
Do you see the person that you talked to that by the name of Chandler Halderson in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Could you identify him by where he's seated and maybe describe the color of his shirt?
Yeah, he's seated in front of me to my right slightly, wearing a blue shirt, dark tie, and a dark blazer jacket.
And I know that audio was kind of long, but at the beginning, the defendant asked 2 questions. If you had cameras and what they pointed to. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And did you notice any disability or limitations on the defendant's movements that morning?
I did not.
Okay. That's it. Nothing further.
Cross-examination.
No, thank you.
May this witness be excused and released from a subpoena.
Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations on your retirement. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day.
Spell it out.
Kelly Bennett, KELLY-BENNETT.
Kelly, whereabouts do you live?
I live at 111 Oak Springs Circle, kitty corner from the Haldersons.
Sure. Yeah, describe if you could, kind of in as much detail as you could, as where your house is in relation to the Haldersons' house.
My house is across the street and one down, so it's kitty corner across the street, but my house is positioned on the lot unusually, and the front of my house is facing the side instead of the street.
Sure. Do you have any security cameras at your house?
Yes, several.
Tell me about, just in general, do you have one system or multiple systems?
We have 2 systems. We have a Ring doorbell system, and we have our son works for the Department of Corrections, and he installs all the cameras for the prisons, and we have a system that was installed by him.
You have a pretty well-designed camera system then?
Very well.
Okay. Were you asked to provide the Dane County Sheriff's Department some camera footage from your house from the early part of July, between maybe July 1st, all the way through maybe the 8th or so at some point this summer?
Yes, on July 7th, I heard that they were missing, and I had my husband approach the police officers and volunteer the cameras.
Sure. And did you and your husband cooperate fully in turning over your camera footage to the sheriff's department?
Yes, we allowed them to actually log into our system, and they could retrieve any and all footage they needed.
And to your knowledge, time and date and things like that were all normal and normally operated on those camera systems?
Yes, on those dates.
I'm going to show you what's been marked in this case as exhibit number 49, and you can feel around. Is that a USB drive in there? It feels like?
Yes.
Okay. And exhibit number 542. What does the photograph on exhibit number 542 show?
My driveway?
Sure. That is your driveway?
Yes.
Okay. I would move, in Exhibit 49, in the past, you've been told that the Dane County Sheriff's Office were able to download your video footage and put it on USB drives, essentially, for trial, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'll move exhibits number 49 and 542 into evidence.
Any objection?
No.
Those are received.
Ms. Bennett, fair to say you know nothing at all about this investigation other than what you just said, right?
Correct. I've never even looked at the footage on the cameras from the system designed by my son.
And did you know the Holdersons very well?
I met her once when I was walking my dog. And just said hello.
So you just provided video footage?
Correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross-examination?
No, thank you.
May this witness be excused and released from her subpoena.
She may. Thank you.
Thanks so much for your time. Have a good day.
Good afternoon. Could you please state your name for the record and spell both your first and last name?
Joelle Lockwood, JoelleLockwood.
And Ms. Lockwood, what location do you work out of?
111 Oak Springs Circle, DeForest, Wisconsin.
And the person who just testified, Miss Bennett, is that your sister?
Yes.
And you work out of her home, essentially?
Yes.
On July 8th of 2021, did you answer the doorbell and correspond with a young man about camera systems?
Yes.
And that was captured by some Ring doorbell footage?
Yes.
And I assume you didn't know this young man?
No.
The time that you were. Exhibit 50. Just to show you. It's a thumb drive or USB.
Okay.
Of the Ring doorbell footage. I would move exhibit 50 into evidence at this time.
Any objection?
None.
It is received.
Do you remember about what time of day this was?
About 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Do you wish to publish at this time?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
You should be able to see what will be shown on the screen in front of you.
Yeah.
My name is Chandler Halderson. I live just down the road.
Oh, yes.
You're the one with all of the police.
Yeah.
I was told you have the fancy security system. I was wondering if you were able to capture the road or my house.
The police actually came and downloaded everything they have.
but it's actually my sister's house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they were here, I think till like 9 o'clock last night and downloaded all the video she's got. So we're hoping that...
Yeah, did it capture anything on...
We don't know. We don't know. They just took a copy of everything, and so we're hoping...
Wide-angle lens?
Yeah, and it's all...
Be able to get a...
Yeah, and it's all HD, and then I think there's one...
Especially in the dark, it looks like it has a little bit of night vision.
Yeah, and there's one on the corner of the garage, too. I don't know if that one quite goes that direction, but...
Maybe see this road and take it from...
Yeah, so hopefully, I mean, we gave them everything that we had, so we're hoping they find something on there.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
No further questions.
Cross-examination.
None, thank you.
May this witness be excused and released.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time. Have a good rest of your day.
Good afternoon. Could you please state and spell out your name for us?
It's Katherine Schuster, Kathryn. Last name Schuster, Schuster.
And ma'am, if I may ask, where do you live?
4599 Oak Spring Circle in DeForest.
Sure. How long have you lived there?
A little over 4 years, I think, approximately.
Sure. Just going to ask you some questions first about your neighborhood, okay?
Oh, sure.
What kind of neighborhood is it? Is it residential? Is it out in the country? Tell me about that.
It's a residential neighborhood.
Okay.
On a little pond.
Sure. Do you live on the pond?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of things do people do on the pond?
Right now, they're ice fishing or paddle boating or canoeing or probably about it.
Were there fish in the pond?
Oh, yeah, definitely fishing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know a couple by the name of Bart and Krista Halderson?
Yes.
How did you know them?
They were my next door neighbors to the west of me.
Okay.
And they moved in, I think, approximately 6 months prior to my family moving in.
Okay. And when you say you knew them, how well did you know them?
Well, I knew Bart better than Krista. Krista was a little more reserved. Bart, definitely talked a little bit more. I always saw him outside throwing the frisbee for his dogs and fishing. And my husband and Bart would text sometimes or talk, and so I knew him as well, neighborly.
Sure. I think you alluded to some of it. Bart would be out fishing or be in the yard with the dogs. What type, is that the extent of it, or are there other things you'd see the Haldersons outside doing?
Sometimes they would have a bonfire.
Okay.
They did a lot of lawn work. They really made their yard very beautiful. They did a lot of different things to it. So they always were doing a lot of yard work.
Sure. And your neighborhood, do people take care of their lawns?
Yes. Okay. Very. Everybody is very particular about their lawns.
Does it at times feel like maybe there's a little bit of a competition between people on who does it best?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. If you're behind, you better get your yard mowed or your leaves picked up.
Okay. Where do you rank in this lawn contest?
My husband's pretty. I don't rank too high personally, but my husband definitely is. For example, him and Bart kind of had a thing where Bart would mow and then my husband would be like, oh, Bart mowed, I better mow, or vice versa. That would happen.
Sounds good. Did you know the Holderson boys at all, their children, Chandler and Mitchell?
No. I had seen them. I had not seen Mitch as much as I had seen Chandler, but I'd only interacted with, or I have only interacted with Chandler twice since they lived there.
Okay. In early July of last year, so after the 4th of July weekend, maybe going into the 7th, 8th, that time period, At some point, did Chandler come over to your house?
He did.
Okay. Now, do you have any security cameras at your house?
We do.
And were those full functioning and operational the day that Chandler came over?
Yes, they were.
Okay. At times, do you turn the security cameras off?
Yes, I did.
Why do you turn the security cameras off?
Sometimes I turn the notification, well, I didn't turn the camera off, I turned the notifications off so that if there was a large influx of packages coming, then my husband wouldn't get like all the notifications.
Sure.
He was at work. Yeah.
I think that scheme's being pulled on me right now. So you had a camera system. Sometimes you turn the notifications off and the footage would maybe go away eventually. But Chandler came over one of these days.
Right.
And did you talk to him outside or did you invite him inside?
I invited him in.
Inside. So if your security camera picked up anything that day, it would have just been that brief ring of the doorbell, pleasantries, and then inviting him inside?
Yes.
Okay. And did you provide that footage to Dane County Sheriff's deputies? Did your family when asked in this case?
I did.
Okay. I'm showing you what's been marked in this case is exhibit number 52. Just a feel around, that feels like a USB drive, doesn't it?
Yes.
And that'd be consistent with someone's video footage, the kind of being transferred over for court, right?
Sure, I would imagine so.
I'll move 52 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
It is received.
For the court record, I'll move 53, not to be published.
Any objection to 53?
No.
It is received.
And I'll move to publish 52.
You may publish. What's going to be seen, you'll be able to see on the screen in front of you, rather than needing to strain your neck.
Oh, sure. Okay, thank you.
Monitor.
I get it. Thank you.
It's kind of difficult to track them down, so I'm hoping anyone would have like security cameras and stuff like that.
We do. For you guys, okay?
Thank you.
Take care, thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, so that showed essentially Mr. Halderson showing up and then him leaving when your camera again gets activated by his movement?
Correct.
All right, and you have any reason to doubt that the time on the bottom there and the date of July 8th, around 8:30 to 8:36, that sound about right to you?
Yes. I thought he came over at 8:08 and left 18 minutes later.
Sure, about a 18 to 20 minute conversation. But
yes.
Nothing that was inside was recorded, of course.
No.
Okay. Let me ask you some questions about
sure.
that, though. When Mr. Halderson first came in, what did he tell you?
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
Yeah, what did he tell you was going on when he first came in your home?
Well, he didn't, he just came in, he took his shoes off and you know, I said to him, I'm not very tech savvy. It's going to take me a minute, you know, to pull up the cameras and see what we have. And he came in, he sat down on the floor against one of our like oversized chairs. And then, you know, my dog went up to him and I sat next to my dog and I proceeded to look at the footage. I don't recall him saying anything at that time.
Sure. Did he talk about anything in your house for that 18 minutes?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, I asked him some questions. So I believe while I was looking up some of the footage, you know, I had made a reference to Minecraft, which is because it was on the TV, which is probably irrelevant. And then, you know, that was just a brief conversation. And then I found the footage and I said, you know, unfortunately, the camera was off from 6:02 to, I believe it was, 6:30 to 7:02, which was June 30th to July 2nd. And then again, it was on the 3rd, off again the 4th to the 7th. And then, so he's like, okay, well, most cameras don't go to the road. Just thought I'd check. And then I said to him, so your parents, why didn't your parents take their car? And he said, well, a couple picked him up Friday morning, which would have been July 2nd. Prior to me getting up at 6:15, they were gone. And I said, oh, okay, and you don't know who they went with? And he said, no, I've called all their friends. I don't know. Nobody, they didn't go with anybody, and maybe it was one of my dad's clients. You want me to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. And then he said, well, they took my parents' computer today, but they're not gonna, they didn't take my dad's computer. He has a high security job, and they weren't able to take that. And I said, oh, I'm sure, they'll get a subpoena to get that computer. And he's like, wow, they'll never get into that computer. It's just too high tech. And I said, well, I think they will. Basically the police will get into it. And then I just asked him about debit cards. I just said, are they looking at their debit card records, to see where they've been or whatnot? And he said, no, they don't use debit cards when they go up north. They always take cash because they don't have any sliders. And I said, okay. And then
Sliders, and meaning like a credit card.
He referred
machine.
to it as sliders, but yeah, I took that to mean debit card machines or credit card machines.
Sure. Did you ask him about his parents' phones and tracking them?
I did. Next I said, well, what about their phone records? Are they looking at their phone records? And he said, no, they can't get their phone records unless they have a dead body. And I said, well, they'll definitely subpoena those. I'm sure it'll take some time. And I don't know if that's the right verbiage, subpoena, whatever, but it'll take some time, but they'll absolutely be able to get phone records. And, and then he said, well, I think the person down the street has some high security cameras. And I said, oh, do you mean Kelly? And he said, who? And I just said, the person that lives in the blue house down the street. And he said, I think I'll have to visit her. And then I think that was the majority of the conversation. Besides that, I said, he got up. I said, you're going to be so happy when they pull in your driveway. You're just going to be so happy and it'll be okay. And he said, no, I'm going to give him an earful. I'm angry. We're all really angry. And I said, well, no, you know what I mean? Like when your child goes missing and you're mad they ran away, but you're really just really happy you found them. And he said, no, the whole family's just very angry, and we're all going to give him an earful. And I said, okay, well, I asked if I could help with his dogs too. And during this conversation, sometime he said no. And I said, okay, well, anything we can do, either we're praying for you or we're thinking about you. One of those things I would say. I recall saying, but I don't know which one. And that was it. Sure. Then I watched him walk in the direction of the neighbor across the street.
You said when he came in your house, where did he sit again?
On the floor against, we have a big oversized chair, and I had pulled the ottoman out. It's an oversized ottoman, and I had pulled that out so he could sit on the chair, but he may have felt more comfortable on the floor, and he sat on the floor with his back against the ottoman, or not the ottoman, the chair.
Did he seem to you to have any physical trouble getting up and down?
Not that I noticed.
What was his demeanor like, or his effect when he was telling you these things about maybe his parents being gone?
It's hard to describe. I would guess kind of a quiet nature. I would say like would appear to be down, maybe. Okay. Yeah.
Police contacted you at some point, I would imagine?
They did.
And you've been cooperative all the way through with the police, helping them out with video and talking to them about your conversations?
Yes.
All right, thank you. No further questions.
Okay, thank you.
Cross-examination?
No, thank you.
May this witness be excused and released.
She may be.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
assistance, and
Thank
have
you.
a good rest of your day.
You as well.
Thank you.